This is the worst spell in the game. It does 50 damage to you the second you cast it, requires 20 faith, and has a long cast time. So let's say you're a madman and decide to use this spell to compensate for your lack of maidens. Well, congratulations, you're now down 22 stamina and have some bleed build up. But now you can damage enemies by rolling into them. Isn't that great? Well, not really. In the first 10 seconds of casting this, you actually take more damage than your enemy will. But for those high of trade-off, surely it must give you some damage negation. Wrong again. How foolish to think this spell would benefit you in any way. The player whose world I invaded was so underwhelmed by this spell that he merely sat down and enjoyed the tickling sensation of slightly dead foliage. Perhaps if we use some buffs, it will do more damage. Wrong again, bucko. In fact, I was so insignificant, he didn't attack me directly, and I had to be careful to avoid his swings when he was fighting other enemies. Fortunately, I always find a way to defeat my enemies by lulling them into a false sense of security and using social distancing to slightly nudge them in an advantageous direction, i.e. 2 miles down to the hard, cold ground. This is Rotten Butterflies. It is aesthetically pleasing, does AoE of effect damage, and builds up Scarlet Rot on enemies. So why is this a contender for one of the worst spells in the game? It might be because the 48 focus points required, snail's pace, cast time, and incredibly low damage it does to enemies if you even manage to survive long enough to cast it. So what might this spell look like in PvP? In a good scenario, you cast it, and it does whatever little damage it can do to everybody. Very nice. What's not nice is the inevitability of dying after using it only once. The ideal scenario is you cast it with a perfectly placed wooden barrier between you, and you do some damage. Very nice. Until you try to cast it a third time, and find out that you are out of focus points, and are quickly run over by the enemies around you. Worst case scenario, they run right through the ability and peruse your innards through the sword-shaped holes you've recently acquired before unleashing the power of Puff upon your cranium. As bad as this spell is, there is still another that could claim the title of a worst ability in the game. Behold, Rain of Fire, with a whopping 52 faith requirement. This ability will send down arrows of fire to your enemies, and if they move, it will track them and hopefully do some damage. The downside is you'd have to be pretty slow in order for this to hit you, as even just pressing W challenges this ability's tracking speed a great deal. Should it hit the enemy, you will be rewarded with a minimal amount of damage for all the effort you've put in to casting it. You would have to be a lobotomized marmot in order to die from this. Here's what it looks like in PvP. I use it here, and it misses him by a mile. We get a little closer on the second cast, but still no banana. The third time's the charm, and we get a whopping 63 damage out of it. The hidden ability is distracting him enough for the dragon to hit him. Did I mention it has limited range and cannot reach him even though it has a really long cast time? The arrows somehow hit him twice, and we get a whopping personal best of 105 damage here. Until finally the dragon has had enough of our tomfoolery and destroys us both. We invade a world, and already the NPCs are laughing at us. I attempt to engage in long-range combat, which is foolish of me, and I end up with a sparkler session to destroy any semblance of stealth I once had. We get lucky when a rock intervenes on our behalf, but our luck doesn't last long, as we get hit by an actually useful ability and die on the spot. Our final contender for the most awful ability is the esteemed Electro Charge. The biggest requirement to use this ability is patience and self-loathing due to the insufferable amount of damage it does. And the damage is area of effect, but only periodically. Each tick of this effect does 4, yes, that is correct, 4 damage The dog mobs around this host do more damage than I do. If you've ever wanted to roleplay as a geriatric Pikachu, then this is the ability for you. You want damage negation with this? Too bad. 4 damage is all you get. Quite literally, a brand new player facing an absolute pro with only this ability might actually win. This is truly the ultimate disrespectability, as you have to be actually awful at this game to die from it. But wait, there's more. If you are lucky, you will get to do half the damage it already does. And if you passed kindergarten, then you'll know that that equates to 2 damage per tick. Yes, 2 damage. Not even Giga Chad could defeat an enemy with only this ability. This ability is so bad, I tried stacking Mantle of Thorns and a Blessing to see if it would make this ability more effective. And to say it improved the ability would be exaggerating. More like increased the tickle ability of your presence when getting too close to another player. It is truly difficult to crown the worst ability in the game. So please try them out and share which one gave you the most awful experience. Thanks for dropping by, and I hope you